Hey girls, hey. Hey boys, hey. Hey women, hey. Hey men, hey. All right, you guys, let's get started. We got to wrap up this last part of Nicole Kessingers' second interview. Now, it gets confusing if you're looking these up on YouTube. The first interview was choppy. It was in the park. Her dad and her dog was there, and there's only audio of it. It is very hard to find. I did a video on it. If you want to know what was said in that video, go to my videos and look up Nicole Kessingers' first interview. Her second interview, there is not a video of it, but there is an audio, and you can find it on Scott Reich's channel and a few other channels. And we ended my last video, part 2, on her being there for about an hour and a half. And her talking about how she clocked out about 3 o'clock. And so she got home around 3:45. She said, and like Chris knows, when I get off work too, so he does not always bug me. I'm busy, so I don't know what's up with that. But that's when he, and she doesn't finish what she's saying, that's when he sends that to me, and the agent interrupts her and says, so you're saying he would have known that you would have had your phone available and not at work when he sent you that message. Wow. Wow, so sorry. Choked on my own saliva. NK says, yes, that's what I'm trying to say. The agent says, so looking back at it, you think it was probably sent at that time? She says, oh, I'm sure. Agent says he is just asking her feeling on that. And NK says, yes. And then he said, call me when you can. And I was like, and the agent interrupts her again. I wish he would let her finish sometimes. Saying there was no other communication between you and him that morning, Monday morning. NK says there was, but it was like random. Like, and then the agent interrupts her and says, but nothing about this event. NK says, no. 5 to 6 times really fast. So the agent interrupts her and says, but nothing about this event. And she says, no. The agent says, about, like, my wife's missing, or an NK interrupts him and says, no. The agent says, or like anything. NK interrupts and says, nothing. Okay, agent says. And you knew he was not coming to the office because he told you about it Sunday night. NK says, yeah. She said that they are not always in the office in the mornings, but they are always gone by 7:30 a.m. when they do come. She says that they don't work with each other, so it's only by an off chance that they see one another. We talk like randomly, though, throughout the day, but really sporadic is what she says. He seemed pretty busy, so did not talk much, did not put too much thought in what was happening at all during that time. NK says Chris does know she is not at work when he sent the text. And then the agent asked if NK gave Mark, the other detective, Jim's info. And there is a long pause, and she says, no, I would really like not to involve him in this. He does not know about this. He doesn't know any of this is occurring. Like, I was literally and the agent interrupts. Now listen to how she responds again. When they ask him if she gave Mark, which is the detective she talked to the day before, Jim's phone number, she pauses and then she goes, no, I would really not to involve him in this. He does not know about this. He does not know any of this is occurring. Like, I was literally and then the agent interrupts and says he knows certainly through the media that something occurred. NK says, yeah, he's like out of town. He probably has no idea. He doesn't know who Chris is. Like, he is not, I do not know. That's what she said. Agent says, so he's just a friend of yours. NK says, yes, he does not need to be dragged into this. Agent says, he was just coming to your apartment and doesn't know anything about Chris. NK says, no, nothing, absolutely nada. NK's dad chimes in, yeah, we have known Jim for years and years. And the agent asks, you're not dating him or anything like that? NK says, no, he is like one of my really great friends. Like, my dad knows him. He is a really great guy. He works out of state a lot, so when he's in town, we hang out. But when he is in town and off of work to save time, that's why I gave him a key to my house. 1, because I trust him and he is one of my best friends. And 2, because sometimes he'll just meet me there. Because I'll be like, hey, I'm getting off work. And then if I get stuck in traffic, he ends up just sitting outside of my apartment waiting for me to get off work. And they laugh. All of them laugh when she says that. It's weird that they laugh. And she says, so I'm like, here's a key, and he likes my dog, and my dog loves him and stuff. So no, he is not involved with this, and I don't even want him dragged into all of this. The agent says he only was asking to verify her location, but he has cell records that can be gotten by warrant if he needed to do that. NK says, is that not what I just signed? And the agent says, no, what I'm talking about is your movement by cell tower or GPS. Would you consent for those records? He said, not to cause concern, but they want to know where she was that day too. They just want to show NK was never near him on that day. She says that they can have it. She got it home at 3:45 and Jim was there. Agent says, well, Jim can verify your story. He could say with one call he saw her, and NK says, yeah, totally. Agent says he only needs to ask Jim her whereabouts at 3:45 and says he's not saying you have to give it. NK throws a full-on baby fit at this point. She says, just leave Jim alone. Just leave Jim alone. Jim does not need to be wrapped up in this. The agent says, at some point I may need to talk to Jim. Like, if I can get phone records, she says, you can have them. I will give them to you. Anything to keep them from talking to Jim, right? The agent says, would you tell me who Jim was if I could not get the phone records? NK says, if you had to, I don't really want to involve him in this. It's not fair to him. That's not, no. And then she says, if I do not have to do that, agent interrupts saying, that's fine. She quickly changes the subject from Jim, telling her, the agent that at 3:45 Monday, Chris text her to call him. She says he texted her 3 times, but she does not remember what the other one said. And when he told her to call me, it kind of alerted her to where she was like, what's going on, you know? But first, when he said family not home, it did not seem odd to her. It was really vague, so she wondered if they were just at the store. It sounded like an emergency when he said call, but then just says that they are not there. NK said she was floored by this. Then she says, well, not floored, but just kind of like, he says call me, so I'm concerned. And then he is really vague, so I'm like, maybe he just wants to talk to me. I don't know. So in this response, she says she's not concerned, she's floored, she's not bothered. Which is it? And she really doesn't want these police officers to talk to Jim at all. And it makes me wonder if Jim was the oxy dealer. I mean, it's speculation, but she really doesn't want the police to talk to Jim. And Jim comes over and she's got to hang out with him for a little bit before she talks to Chris. I don't know. It's just really sketchy. And then the rehab call, I'll tell you guys about that in a little bit. It took her a little while to realize the severity of the situation because the way he was talking to her made her believe that it was not what was going on at all. She then says she interacted with Jim for 15 to 20 minutes since he is a guest in her house, so did not step out and call Chris right away. She says at this point she's trying to balance the fact that I have my friend here and that Chris is saying that something needs to be addressed. But to me, it did not sound like an emergency. I mean, like, this happens all the time. People aren't home, right? Right now, you know? So it's just, I wasn't like she was, oh my God, I got to take this call. It's an emergency. Agent said, so it did not register that it was critical. And NK says, no. I mean, it was the way he said it. I'm like, okay, I remember hanging out with Jim for a while, she says. And then I stepped out to make a call on her phone on her back patio, and Chris did not answer. He texts back, oh no, did he answer the phone? I don't remember. I think he missed my call. He either called me back or answered. Either way, it was a very short talk to him where he was like, I gotta go, the cops are here, and she can't remember if that was said on the phone or in text. Now, if someone says the cops are here, you're gonna remember that. In that very moment, you're gonna remember. And then she says that she's so tired. Let me make sure I read all of that. Yes. But either way, he says cops are here, and I'm like, all right. No, you're not like, all right, when you hear Chris say the cops are here. And then I remember we're texting, but I was hanging out with my company, so it wasn't a nonstop text. Chris was saying they weren't there, and Shanann's friend Nikki was there, and she called the cops. So I'm like, why would this girl call the cops? And like, I don't remember the order, but pretty sure our combos that night until Jim left pretty late around 9 or 10 were just via text. So you should have these texts. I did not talk on the phone with Chris until my company left. And he was like, I don't know. He just started like giving me details and stuff. Nikki was upset. Nicole Atkinson was upset, and that the cops were there searching the house, and she was like, what? You know? Like, what? Why? So that's what she said about the cops. The cops were searching the house, and she was like, what? You know, like, what? Why? She says Chris told her they had a disagreement, and she went to friends. She was like, maybe she left, you know? She thinks he told her that her phone and purse was still there. NK says at this point she thought Shanann was really trying to get out of the house after the disagreement. She said she was like, well, I leave my cell phone at home all the time. She says at that point he did not say what the disagreement was about. She calls her brain a mashed potato right now. And maybe Shanann was in a rush to get to the friends and left the phone to get peace. But she did say it was weird about the purse being left. She then says, knowing that girl is on her phone a lot, it's kind of odd. Agent says she lived on her phone, and NK says, yep. She says she knew that. She thought it was not awkward since going through a separation and thought she just needed space. She jumps back to him coming back from NC, from that conversation, selling his house and getting a divorce. She said over the weekend they were putting it up on Monday. He told her the realtor's name, but she forgot it. An agent goes back to the call on Monday afternoon. NK says he texted her all this info, and she is kind of starting to freak out. But not that she got murdered. That's not what I thought. She made sure to say that. I looked at it like Chris got home from work just now, and my family's not there. So when he was texting the next few hours, like the cop thing was weird, but Chris insisted Nicole Atkinson had called the cops. And NK wondered about Nicole Atkinson's role in this situation. She says that they kept it tight-wrapped for a while, so she does not know any of his people. She asked him where he thought his wife was, and Chris said, I think she will be back tonight. NK says she remembers telling him on the phone maybe Shanann is at Nicole Atkinson's house. Chris said, why would she call cops if she was over at her house? She said maybe Shanann was trying to throw them off her trails by having Nicole Atkinson there. NK says Chris never told her he got home earlier in the day. She says she does not know anything and wishes she had processed it all earlier, but she does not feel like when one of her friends go missing, oh my God. Why did NK not bring a lawyer to those interviews? Just her dad. Does her dad have that much clout that she felt safe where she was, that she didn't need an attorney? Even Crystal in the Frazee case lawyered up by her second interview. She's very quiet at first during this interview, but she changes her tone throughout, and she knows the girls and the wife are dead. But yet she still passive-aggressively bashes Shanann, knowing she's no longer with us. After her Google searches, we know she knew everything about Chris and Shanann. She knew for a year, according to the searches. The things NK can't remember, it's because they're lies. She says it was only 6 weeks, but repeatedly says it was a long time ago and she can't remember. Every time the agent says 8 weeks, she corrects them and says only 6. I also believe the Lexus was on the street and noticed by the neighbors because NK's truck was in the garage during these times. And I believe that she is not owning up to all the times that she went there, and I know that she probably spent the night. She contradicts herself by saying so long ago, but then she says that they only dated a short time. They kissed NK's butt during this interview because they needed her testimony. They didn't have a lot to go on because Chris was doing nothing but lying. But why trust her? Because she's a liar too. She cares more about that phone and not giving it up to the law enforcement than finding out that very day that the family was dead. He threatens NK with a warrant for her phone, and it makes her say and the agent also makes her say on record during this interview that she did delete all of her correspondence with Chris. She tells Chris to delete his phone and move his truck. Why does she say to move the truck unless she knew that the dead bodies were in there and that there was a smell of decomposition in there? So I don't understand if you guys have a reason why NK would tell him to move his truck, except that she knew that that is where he had transported the bodies in. I don't understand why she would text him in the text art and discovery for him to move his truck. I thought she was at a friend's, but told him to pawn the ring. If she really believed that she was just at a friend's overnight, why did she tell him to pawn the ring? When Chris is in North Carolina and drugs Shanann, it's 24 hours before that NK has that 22-minute phone conversation with the rehab center. And she calls that rehab right after hanging up with Chris. And after she hangs up with the rehab, she calls Chris right back. Is she ever told him to fix things? It was in a condescending way. If she told him to fix things in North Carolina, it was, you should just probably fix things with your wife and kids. Why don't you just go ahead and work things out with your wife then? It was never in an empathetic way. Also, one day Chris and family got back from NC. NK has a 1-minute phone call to North Glen Police Department. She calls them on their main number. She's only on the phone with them for 1 minute, and then she must have hung up. She keeps saying Chris stayed in the basement when Shanann was home, but if they only dated in the last 6 weeks, then Shanann was never home. So when was she dating him when he was staying in the basement? Before Shanann left? She says that she never went into the master bedroom, but somehow knows on that phone conversation that there's a TV in there. She searches for wedding dresses while Chris is in NC. I doubt she ever told him to work on things with his wife and then started searching wedding dresses. The day she gives Chris the key to her place, she Googles marrying your mistress. You don't know about a 401k and search for apartments after only 6 weeks of dating. She calls Shanann and Chris those guys and that couple, and very, very passive aggressive about Shanann, and she's dead. Like, you don't talk smack about somebody you just found out died unless you had a part in it. How does she remember where they sat at the Lazy Dog but does not remember what they talked about? She said that they couldn't see the TVs. She says that she was out of town at the end of June and the first few days of July, but wasn't that when they said that they got together and the relationship started? What about the 9 o'clock thing that her dad interrupts the agents and NK talking and says, what was Chris telling you Sunday? NK's dad asked about this, and NK says, we'll get to it, but they never do. So I want to know, what is this 9 o'clock thing on Monday that Chris tells her? Phone records show she hung up with Jim more than 15 to 20, or that she hung out with Jim more than 15 to 20 minutes. She tells the officers that she got home about 3:45. There was a text from Chris, but she hung out with Jim for about 15 to 20 minutes before she texted Chris or called Chris back. But phone records show that she did not call Chris back until 5:01 or 5:02. So she hung out with Jim for an hour and 15 minutes and then called Chris. Something's up with Jim, you guys. I don't know if he's the oxy dealer. I don't know if Nicole is. I don't know if Nicole was trying to get off of oxys to go to the rehab. I don't know. I have no idea. This is all brain-boggling. Phone records show, I already told you that. And then I'm going to end this video with, she says she's told cops are there, but only randomly looks at the phone. After she's told that cops are at Chris's house, you best believe she looked at that phone every 5 minutes. But there was something about Jim that kept her from calling Chris, knowing that it was an emergency and she was floored and all of that. She still waits an hour and 15 minutes and does something with Jim hanging out that is more important than Chris's emergency. And the next interview is actually a phone interview. I thought that the next interview was the one where we see her walk in with her phones and she has both phones. And I have started summarizing that interview, but there also is another interview that happened on the 17th that was over the phone. So I'm going to search that down and break that down first. But thank you so much for watching. You guys subscribe to my channel. I'm working on my cover photo right now, so I'll have my cover photo up. Love it. And I really am appreciative of all you guys. I will be coming back with one more video tonight, and it will be the update on the Patrick Frazee case. His brother testified in court today, and so did a few other people. And so there were some interesting facts found out today. I have everything ready for that video. I just have to unfortunately wait until this video uploads so I can delete it and make a new one. Unfortunately, my tablet does not have a lot of space on it, and my iPhone broke. But thank you so much. And again, I wanted to address why I'm always messing with my hair. I have Asperger's, which is high-functioning autism. And if I have a stray hair that's tickling me, I can't stand textures, and I have sensory issues. So if one little hair is just tickling my chin or coming from under here, then I constantly am having to, like, get it off my face. That's why I don't wear my hair down that much, is because I can't stand the little creepy crawlies that I get from other hairs touching. Not that you guys care, but there you have it. And I will be going live soon. We are almost at 750 subscribers. You guys are awesome. Hit that subscribe button. Bye.